Hi, in this lesson, we'll learn how to document our programs using comments. You may have noticed that in many of our example activities, we've been using / characters to provide additional information about the programs. In this lesson, we will explain how you can implement comments in your own programs. Comments are important to programming because they allow us to document what our programs do so that others can easily interpret and use them correctly. There are 3 types of comments that we can use in our programs: single-line, multi-line, and Javadoc documentation. We will cover all of these in this lesson. Single-line comments allow us to add quick comments to our programs. We can execute single-line comments by writing 2 slashes and following that with any comment. Single-line comments can be placed before or after code segments and can provide information about the code that is to be executed. If we do not include the double slashes on each line of our comment, the program will throw an error, as common characters are not recognized by Java. We can use multi-line comments to write additional comment lines for longer comments that need more explanation. Multi-line comments start with a /* and end with */. This same code could be written with 2 single-line comments as well. Comments not only help to provide information about our code, but can also be used as a debugging tool. Comments can be used to comment out code that we don't want to run. This helps us eliminate and isolate bugs that we have in our programs. Let's take this code segment as an example. The error message that is being produced isn't particularly helpful to eliminate what the problem might be. We might notice that string is written in lowercase, but if we were unsure that this was the cause of our error, we can comment out this line of code to prevent it from executing. When we comment out that line of code, we see that the code executes properly without throwing an error. This is an indicator that the line of code that we commented out is probably the cause of the error, and we can focus on fixing that line of code in order to make the program work. This works because comments are ignored by the compiler and aren't executed when programs are run. Consider using comments as a debugging tool to help figure out what isn't working with certain problems. The last type of comment that we need to discuss is the Javadoc comment. The Javadoc comment is used specifically to create API documentation. As we learned in previous lessons, API documentation is a collection of methods and routines related to a specific class or set of classes. This code format makes it easy for developers to create documentation because the Javadocs program automatically translates the Javadoc comments into the API format. Here we can see that the documentation for equals is being translated from the Javadoc format into the proper API documentation. Let's take a look at how we can implement this ourselves. In general, Javadoc comments follow a specific format. They first start with 1-sentence description of the code's function, then a pre- and post-condition, and block tags. We'll dive into each of these with an example method that we've already written. Here is the getName method that we created in the Power class for the superhero class in the last lesson. Javadoc comments are used with methods so that the methods can be documented appropriately. The first thing that we need to do to write a Javadoc comment is to give a brief description of what the code segment does. In this case, the method getName returns the string name of the Power object to the program. We'll use this description as the first sentence of the Javadoc comment. The next thing that we're going to need to add is a precondition. Preconditions are conditions that must be true prior to the execution of the program in order for that code segment to behave as expected. Often, preconditions explain what parameters need to be successfully input into the program in order for it to work. In our case, what needs to be true in order for this method to work correctly is that there needs to be an existing Power object in order to use this method. As a result, our precondition is that a Power object must be initialized. The next thing we need to include is a post condition. A post condition is a condition that must be true after this code segment is executed. Post conditions often describe the outcome of the execution, such as what the method returns, or how that method alters the state of an object. In our case, this is fairly simple. The post condition here is that our method returns the attribute name that is stored in the power object. Our post condition describes that. The final component to the Javadoc is a block tag. Block tags provide additional information about the code segment, such as detailed information on the return values and the parameters. Block tags follow the format @tag. To add information about the return value or a parameter, we need to include the tag @param or @return. Each block tag needs to be on a separate line. In our example, the only block tag that we can add is a return value, as we don't have any parameters in this problem. We write @return to indicate that there is a return value, the name of the variable that is being returned, and a description of what that variable does. In this case, we are returning the variable name, which is the name of the power object. The general format for writing a block tag is @tag, variable name, description of the variable. We put our Javadoc comments directly before the method, constructor, or class that the comments belong to, so that Javadoc knows to associate the comments with the preceding code segment. When this code segment that we created is run through the Javadoc application, it will take the information provided in the comment and translate that to an API documentation that includes all of the information that we added to the comment. Now, when other programmers want to use getName, they can read the comment in the class file or find the documentation that was created through Javadoc. Now that you've learned about comments, let's get some practice using them in the editor.